Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to go ahead and get this started. We're going to have the kick off the December 14th Public Safety Committee meeting. It's about 1:04. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderwoman Howard,
Present.
Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderman Narayan,
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderwoman Rice,
Present.
Alderman Todd,
Present.
Alderman Page,
Present.
Alderwoman Keys, Chair Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Keys. We have 8 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, and I'd like to welcome one of our newest members, Alderwoman Rice, who actually asked to be put on here at the beginning, and we're here at the end, and she's here. So would it like the approval of the minutes from the Wednesday, November 22nd committee meeting?
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard.
Oh, I'm sorry. We
I
haven't had
think,
a motion.
I think,
in a
I think we
second.
need the motion and approve.
I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
Okay, it was, a motion was made by the Alderman from the 14th, and we'll say second, seconded by the Alderman from the 24th. Madam Clerk, go ahead and please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys, Chair Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Keys. We have 8 aye votes.
Okay, so what we're going to start with is I want to welcome Alderwoman or former Alderwoman Kathleen Hanrahan. We went to lunch, and something that she was working on when she was actually the alderperson, and it just seems like a really kind of a cool thing. Kind of the way we entitled it when we sent it to everyone was to shoot photos, not guns. And I'm gonna let Kathy, you go, I call you Kathy. Is it Kathy or Kathleen? Well, you have to unmute yourself there. Oh, Kathy, you gotta unmute yourself. It takes a
Okay.
bit of getting used to, you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, well, yes, you can call me Kathy. If you call me Kathleen, I feel like I'm in trouble, so.
okay. So Kathy, why don't you go ahead? You got the floor, and then we'll go through the committee. But I thought it was kind of a really cool idea and something that I think we should do.
Okay,
So
well,
it's
thank you
all-
very much. Yeah, thanks, Joe, and thank you, committee, for having me. It actually started in recreation when I retired from recreation in '04, before I was alderman. But we had kids at the time who, were really bad, and they were going to be kicked out of the rec center for 3 weeks to 2 months. And I was doing the photography and videography for City Rec, boxing shows, photographs of things. And I just thought, these kids are just going to get in more trouble being out of the center instead of being in the center. So I purchased at the time, if nobody had the cell phones at the time for photos, although, always like we have, I bought the little throwaway cameras for them. And we just started a program called Shoot Photos, Not Guns. as one of the kids came in even through the metal detector with a gun, and how he got through, we don't know. But that was the start of all the bad behavior. And so they got the cameras, we developed them. We had an exhibit up in the dance room, in the dance studio. We actually had like a gallery opening, and we had appetizers, and parents, our parent or a loved one tried to come, and we gave these kids acknowledgement and pats on the back and ribbons. And these kids who were bad, supposedly, and the worst kids in the center wound up being the leaders of the center. This was long ago. And so when I became alderman, which was not even on my antenna at the time, I asked Mayor Slay, can I do something with youth? Do you have somebody in working with youth programs? And he said, I already have somebody. So that's all I heard. So I couldn't do anything. So now I'm just tired of hearing, as we all are, shootings, especially of the kids. I mean, shootings of anyone, but killings of these kids. I can't take it anymore. That's why I called Joe and I said, hey, can I talk to you about something? So I have this program called Shoot Photos, Not Guns. I don't know if anybody remembers Ed Stallings or Joe Profit, but we had done a youth empowerment group when I was an alderman, and we did a little bit of this. Health department had some interns. We did this program with some interns at the time, but it didn't go as far as I'd like to see it, because I think it's very doable, almost simple. And I think just, subliminal seduction, seeing something positive. I mean, for goodness sake, we all watch TV with a giant hamburger as big as our TV going by, and we all run out to a Hardee's and get our hamburger. So I just think it's the power of suggestion. If we have some posters, anyway, shoot guns, shoot photos, not guns. If we find some kids, I don't know how we would start it. Maybe Joe would want to designate a school possibly, or somebody who we can give some cameras to start shooting photos of anything that they see, anything that's, they could be their children, their sisters, their brothers. And we could take those photos and even put them, make them into posters, put them on, I don't know, are there bus shelters anymore? Put them on bus shelters instead of graffiti, put these posters up of different photos. And I was going to show you a few. Unfortunately, this young man did not make it. He was killed back in 2003, but these were a couple of his. And the kids even learned how to cut mats. And this was one, I don't know if you can see this or not, but the kids just took this on their own in Marquette Park with his sister and I think a couple of her friends. This was a church in the Marquette Recreation Center neighborhood. This was I think somebody's sister too. Precious little girl. And then down on South Broadway, we always had a guy who sold snow cones. So the young man, he said, I don't want color photos. I want to do black and whites. And he was very talented. And I can't believe he's gone, but he took this one. And he also took this one of a truck that has roses. He was selling roses and flowers. But I just think that we all have basic needs. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be special. Everybody wants to feel that they are worth something. And I think that, I don't know if we want to visualize this to go as far as maybe people who are apprehended and receive a sentence. And if they're incarcerated, if we want to do something like that, give them a camera and say, here, shoot some photos. And in essence, let them know that there is something else that they can pick up in their hands besides a gun. And that they matter to themselves, they matter to others, they matter to their loved ones, and they matter to their city. But not only in bus shelters, but anywhere. I mean, my dream is, and my dad and my dad's family is from Chicago, so I can just imagine driving into St. Louis from Chicago, seeing a big billboard, and I know everybody has possibilities to put whatever they want on billboards in their wards. I can just see, welcome to St. Louis, where we shoot photos, not guns. And a picture of a beautiful photo of St. Louis, whether it be a child, a building, something. But I don't know. I'm just adamant about it. And I know Joe had mentioned he knows someone who we could probably get throwaway cameras from. And I talked to Schiller's. They're out on Manchester. That's where I do all of my processing and photography. And they would be glad to entertain the thought of processing and making photos, blowing them up. But whoever we have do this, I could really see a display in City Hall with easels and photos. I mean, we did this on a recreation center with zero, money, and it can be done. And just have a photo exhibit, have photos that we actually take and blow up. Maybe these children or guys or girls, whoever they turn out to be, we can turn it into a photo that puts a little byline, maybe something that says, oh, look at Joe Alderman, what a great guy. If he were our picture, or someone, whatever they take a picture of, they could do a byline. They could maybe write a story. They could possibly write a poem. These could eventually turn into a book of photos taken by whoever, the children. Shoot photos, not guns. This is our city, and we need to stop this. So, and everybody would get an award. Everybody would get recognized, either with a certificate or a ribbon or something, or maybe 12 of their photos that they would like to give to someone. So I don't know. That's what I think.
Well, I thought it seemed kind of cool. If you've ever been to a wedding where they throw all the box cameras on the table,
And here, this would be the sign.
oh, she got that up there. And I say, if you've ever been to a wedding, they throw them, then you develop them, and it's like,
Yeah.
cool, because a photographer does their thing, but this is I thought it was kind of a cool idea. So I'm gonna open it up to members of the committee, and I think it's something I'm gonna figure a way to pursue this, but with thoughts, maybe each alderperson, if we give certain amount, like a handful of cameras to kids in the neighborhood that it would be interested, it might be fun to see what they
What they come up with.
right. And anything that's inappropriate that somebody might think's funny, we can.
We'd have to say that first
Right.
and foremost.
But
too.
we want them to, we want them to take pictures. I mean, some of them might take pictures of if there's a lot of blight in their neighborhood, they may want to take pictures of that, or they might want to take pictures of, but I just think it's kind of a cool way to get a perspective of everything. I think what I'm doing, I'm gonna go down the line here. The first on the list will be Alderwoman Davis. And she's still here. She just has her camera off. Well, I'm gonna go down. She'll come back in a second. Alderwoman Howard. There's two meetings going on, Kat.
I see.
That's people are jumping back and forth.
Hey, Kath,
Hi,
how are you?
good. How are you doing?
Oh, I've got some of the bug. So
Uh-oh.
luckily we're Zooming. So I think this is a good idea. I would, rather than trying to start a new program, I'm thinking maybe we should maybe go to Boys and Girls Clubs or an organization that already has children, and maybe having a program through them rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. That's just my input. But because trying to round kids up and find interest, but if you go someplace where you already have, maybe even one of the rec centers, I don't know what we have at Marquette anymore for the kids.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah.
So, I think it's a good idea, because as in my past career, as an art teacher, you could turn around some of the toughest customers with a little creativity. So
Definitely. Yeah.
it could be, there's possibilities here. So,
We could talk to Evelyn Rice Peebles, Commissioner of Recreation.
yeah,
We have more than Marquette, there's
right.
Wall and Tandy, and I don't know what other ones we have that are still open.
A venue, way to go with it. So, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
All right. Good seeing you.
Good to see you too. Get well.
Alderwoman Gracia, she texted she can't make it. I don't think Alderwoman Spencer has joined us. Alderwoman Pam Boyd, you're up.
I'm just getting on from hopping from another meeting.
I know.
Yeah, it seemed like it's a great idea, and probably you could touch bases with the schools to get those kids to be a part of that. And so that might be a way that you could look at it. And so instead of trying to recreate the wheel, it's probably high schools or even middle elementary school that has art in those schools that you could reach out to them to see if they wanted to participate.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let me jump down the line here. Alderman Brett Narayan.
Thank you, Chairman Vaccaro. And thank you to Miss Hanrahan for appearing before us today. I think this sounds like a really neat project. I agree with the Alderwoman from the 14th, I believe it was, that it sounds like a great summer project for our rec centers. It's low cost, gives kids something to do. And if we're lucky, they may even develop a hobby that'll keep them busy for summers to come. And we all know that kids who are busy doing something are typically staying out of trouble. So I'm all for it. And thank you for bringing the idea to us today.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with all my colleagues. I think this is a great program, and I would definitely be ready to support it moving forward, however we move it forward.
Okay. Alderwoman Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think it sounds great. I think art and creativity are great outlets, particularly for our young folks, and creating things is always welcome. Yeah, it sounds like a really, really interesting project, and our rec centers and the ways that they've been expanding programs and expanding access to more kids may be great. Partnering with the school during the school year, if that's something that needs to happen, that all sounds really lovely. So thanks for your input with the young kids. Thanks for working with them and staying active in the community, even after your official public service. So thank you so much, Kathy.
Welcome.
Alderman Jesse Todd.
I think it's I think it's always great to give the young people something to do, because I had a mind is the devil's workshop. I just anything we can do to help keep our young people, middle-aged people, and older people active, we should do it. I think that we should also continue to work. We have 110 parks. We should spend our priority should be always preventing crime, keeping people physically and mentally active, because that will pay for itself tenfold. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So that would pay, if that's true, that would pay 16 times more. We would say 16 times more money. And at the same time, people will have a much better quality of life. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
You're welcome.
Alderman Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Ms. Hanrahan, I believe it is, for bringing this recommendation to the Public Safety Committee. You know, as one who takes photos by the hundreds, actually thousands, for sharing with my community, especially via my community Facebook page, what's going on in my ward. And one who served, believe it or not, as a photographer on my college newspaper. And if you can imagine looking at all this gray hair, that was 12.6 million years ago. I'm very interested in photography, but more than just interest, I would like to offer a couple of pilot schools that we might try this in, schools that I'm closely associated with. One would be the Patrick Henry Downtown Academy, where my good friend, Dr. Deborah Rogers holds court. And this is a school that draws from, let's just say, low to moderate income communities in my ward. This is a school where I worked with Dr. Rogers and Spire to put in a community resource center to give kids who 30% of the kids are housing challenged. And put in a community resource center to make basic needs available to the kids in the school. Another school that is one of my adopted schools, this one a charter school, Confluence Academy downtown. That's at the high school level. I have a teacher there that I work with to present things to the students. That would be an inroad there. Jefferson Elementary School in the Carr Square Village would be another ideal spot. So when you get to the point of piloting this program, I'd like for you to reach out to me, and I would like to help develop some pilot sites in schools that I think such a program could make a difference.
That's perfect.
I
Great.
like the idea. I'm a shutterbug from way back. And I think getting kids interested in taking photos, if they want to hear from an old guy to not to impact their artistic abilities, but how to frame a photo, how to get the subject matter that they're trying to capture in frame. I'd even be willing to help with that. But with that, thank you so much for bringing this program, recommending it. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Oh, wow. Thank you for those great ideas too. Thank you.
I'm thinking even like Gateway Science Academy, where it's pretty spread out through this. Yeah, I'd like to, well, so let me get to Alderwoman Gwen Evans, because I know you got your hand up. Alderwoman Gwen Evans, yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and all of the members of the Public Safety Committee. I am not a member of this committee, but just listening in, I think it's an exceptional idea to include the schools with taking pictures and having them to learn the fundamentals of camera taking. I have a school in my area that I'm interested in presenting this pilot program to, and that's Hickey School.
Oh, good.
So I would love to have that pilot implemented into that school. It sounds fascinating. I know I will even learn something about it.
Well, if it sounds somewhat reasonable, I would help on there too. And we would bring Alderwoman Gwen Evans, Alderman Page. Would anyone else be interested in wanting to? We have to be careful not to get a quorum. I'm sorry. No, we got Alderwoman.
I have another question. I'm sorry.
Okay, and Alderwoman Clark Hubbard raised her hand, but go ahead. I'm sorry, Alderman Evans. Go ahead.
I have another question. Will they also teach the children, the students, the fundamentals of picture taking? I have an old 8mm camera that you have to focus and everything. And you know what? I had lost it and I found it when I was cleaning up. And I'm saying, wow, they don't really, I can't see. It's not the digital ones. It's the one where you have the film that you have to thread into the cameras.
Yeah.
Are those obsolete? Are they still using those or what?
You can still buy film. I still buy film for my old camera, and I have a digital too, but I go for my old one, really. Yeah, you still sell it and they still process those photos. Yeah.
Oh, great.
My grandson's getting into that where he's developing his own and all this. But these would be box cameras. So I don't know that they would have much focusing. I think what this would do is.
These are the throwaway
Yeah,
cameras?
Yeah. And
Okay, the instant cameras. Okay,
and the
yeah,
reason-
I'm
the reason-
familiar with those too.
Well, I mean, it would give us some insight. You know, if someone young goes out and takes pictures of things in his neighborhood, that's good. Or maybe they take pictures of things, blighted buildings, things that, but you might get an insight into some of how the young people
Mhm.
think, you know, through their eyes
Right.
of their neighborhoods, things that yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I can see students becoming engaged in the pictures that they take, and for them to express what the pictures meant to them and why they chose that particular photo when they were filming. That could lead up to an awful lot of conversation and communication with the students.
Exactly.
I picture this being in the rotunda, you know, we put this on easels in the rotunda, but I'm Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard has her hand up, so I don't want to cut her out of the conversation. So Alderwoman.
Yeah, and I can lower my hand. I was just letting everyone know that Alderwoman Keys is here.
Oh, well, hi, Alderwoman Keys.
And she's on the.
Welcome. She's on the committee, even though she said she's not going to show up, she showed up.
I made it.
So, so what I'd like to do, if anyone's willing to want to, and we can do this by Zoom. Well, I guess we can do it as an official. I don't know how we would do it. I have to talk to the clerk how we do it legally. Do it. We can do it as through the whole committee. Then we'll just have a committee hearing. I'd like to try to figure out. I'll work on seeing if I can't get throwaway cameras at some sort of a deal. I know Kathy said she'd work on some, maybe the developing. Plus, I might talk to Walgreens, they develop too, just seeing where we can get some.
And
And if
Joe,
anybody-
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Schiller's did say too that they can of course do the printing or the processing, but they can also develop film and then put it in a Dropbox, and then we can print them ourselves. I mean, you know, if you wanted to get photographic paper, which is the glossy paper, which would be a little bit less cost than them doing it, but he's going to get back and let me know if they would process it, what price they could do it at. So
to me, I mean, it sounds like everybody's thinks like I do. I think this is a good idea. I think, you know, I would be interested to see what these pictures look like. I mean, this is more or less seeing our city through the eyes of youngsters.
right.
And I mean, some of the pictures might be very upsetting. It might be pictures of homeless, you know, might be pictures of blight. And then again, it might be a lot of happy pictures of, you know, somebody's birthday or whatever. I said, but I think when we send them out with these cameras, I don't think we need to send them out with, you can't, you know, I mean, you know, we want to send them out with the idea, you take pictures of what you think you'd like to take pictures. I think those cameras, the throwaways have 24 pictures, I think,
I think so, yeah.
whatever it is, but that's what you're gonna tell them. So you have to think about, don't just go out and snap 24 pictures of a tree. Because you get 24 pictures to show, you know. But is everybody on board with this idea? I know I am, but is everybody on board with this? Everybody can just open their mics and we don't
Then
have
of course you'd have to have, you know, a group to look at all the photos and maybe choose some that you'd want to display and possibly blow up. And so, yeah.
I would think myself personally, what do you think the best way we move forward with this? Do you guys want to have another committee hearing and I'll look into seeing what I can get a hold of? Come back with some more information? Does anybody want to help, like Alderman Page or Alderman Evans or Alderwoman Clark Hubbard or Jesse, Alderman Todd? Help see if there's any resources out there.
Joe, I think that like Alderman Page had mentioned, choose some schools first and choose some students, and then maybe get the photos, get the cameras to them and explain to them what we'd like them to do, and have them shoot and say, we'd like these cameras back by a certain date so we can get them processed and look at them and go from there.
So then Alderman Page, why don't you talk to your school resource people? Come back with if they're interested and get sort of an idea, and Alderwoman Evans and Alderwoman Todd and Alderwoman Clark Hubbard and myself. I will go to Gateway Science Academy and talk to actually the world champion. Is it anybody followed that in the city of St. Louis over here on Ivanhoe Avenue in the glorious 23rd Ward as it sits? You could Google this. Gateway Science Academy entered 3 teams into the World Robotics Champions, right? And against thousands and thousands and thousands of teams, they made it to the state finals. And then it got down to, I don't know how many hundreds of teams, but they competed against every country, 52 countries, and came in #1 in the world, not just on our block. We have the #1 and #6 robotic champions, the world champions in the city of St. Louis. And nobody's really done anything on it, but it's just kind of a cool deal. Well, so I think what we'll do is that fine with Alderman Page? Alderman Hubbard, you have your hand up? Or is this just still up?
Yeah, I was just thinking about, this is something that we did in St. Louis Public Schools probably 30 years ago at Farragut School, which was the school of emphasis was print and broadcast journalism. And so I'd like to present or maybe ask or request that, we actually do a gallery showing, and let's provide some prizes for those kids who are going to participate.
Yes.
Well, we want to do the gallery thing. We want to do it in the rotunda. As far as prizes, one time I was asked to judge a Halloween costume, and it was with kids, and I'll never do that again because there's usually a winner, and for the best costume. And it did not, I picked one, but it was not. There was a lot of sad crying kids too, thinking, I will never. So I think on this, everybody would, I don't know if we would pick first or last place. I think, and this is going to be in the eyes of the kids. So I think everyone across the board, Alderman Page, just everybody can open their mics and jump in. We don't have to be that formal. This is just an open discussion.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up and say that I would be excited to present this program to the 3 schools. I already have relationships with these schools. And I actually, believe it or not, put speed humps around them to protect the staff and parents and teachers as they go back and forth to the schools. So I already have relationships with them. I've done programs in the schools. So I will make those contacts and try to gain their interest and bring their questions back to the committee.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Just jump in.
Alderman Page, if you, I guess you could say, have a format that you're going to use with your schools, and it could be presented to the other wards that have schools that may want to participate in the same thing, just so that they will get similar type information as to what this pilot program would look like?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, my conversations with each of the 3 schools is going to be different. Dr. Deborah Rogers over at Patrick Henry Downtown Academy, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call her. Hey, what do you think about this? Because we have it like that.
Okay.
I'm going to do something similar with a teacher who lives in the fabulous Fifth Ward. I have to throw that in there. That I do programs over at Confluence Academy with. I'm gonna just pick the phone up and call him. So,
Okay.
and out of that, I'll get some ideas and maybe I'll come up with a format. But all these people, I just have these relationships, and it's going to be informal to start with, and then
Yes.
I'll share what comes out of it. Is that fair?
Yes.
Well, let's do this. I
Can
know,
I ask a question very quickly?
just go ahead. No, it's an open.
You do realize that we have to go through the St. Louis Public Schools. Individual schools are not allowed to go out and do different kinds of PR on behalf of St. Louis Public Schools. So they do have a department, a PR department, that could help formalize something that would be used citywide uniformly. Because if we end up with 10 different things or 5 different things, it's very confusing to the public, and it is not our role to publicize anything on behalf of or including public schools. So I just want us to make sure we use the proper format as we move forward.
I think that is a marvelous idea, but that shouldn't preclude us from making the contacts and seeing if at an initial level that the principals and other administrators are
They
interested.
cannot make those decisions. They cannot make those decisions. They cannot. Please
okay.
understand. Don't get those principals in trouble. Please don't.
Even if it's
Please don't get the
project.
principals in trouble. A former school teacher, you know how the district is run, and you are not allowed to go out and come up with things on your own with publicity without the direct approval of the school district. Everything that you see that comes out about schools and children, any kind of programming, any kind of advertising, it is approved through the school district, not individual schools. Now think about this. An individual school can do something with their PTO or whatever, but they can't publicly advertise. They can't do that. They can do small things in-house. They do small things in-house, but it's not as I understood it when I was listening earlier, I had to leave. You want this to be a citywide initiative that really has impact. And the way you get impact is to make sure your partner, which is St. Louis Public Schools, is on board, brings their full support to it and staffing and all of that, so that it will have impact throughout the entire city. And even now, just last night, they voted to sponsor some charter schools. And so that information, technically, if I was going to do it, I would be in contact with all systems of education, not just the public schools. And I think that I would send it to the education department of the diocese. I would send it to the education department for the charter schools. I would send it to all of our private schools. That's the only way it's going to work.
I didn't know that we were was doing this on such a magnitude, I guess you could say, stage. I thought it was just a project or something where we were just introducing the kids on how to use cameras. I don't know.
And I agree. I don't know that. I mean, I'm going to talk to Gateway Science Academy. I mean, I'll send something to the director of schools, whoever that is now. I don't even know who it is now.
It's still Dr. Adams.
I thought he stepped down.
He's there to the end of the month.
Dr. Williams is the interim superintendent.
Pam, do you have a connection? Does anyone have a connection with him?
Dr. Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you get me his information, text me.
It's a she, Joe. It's a she. It's not a he.
Okay, you didn't
It's
say
a
her-
lady.
it's a lady.
Yeah, it's not a man, Joe. It's a lady.
Well, if you can get me her information, I'll reach out to her in the next day or two.
Okay, I will.
I think this could be powerful. I'm so excited.
I think so. I think it's really a cool deal. I'll reach out to that person. I know you guys don't want to have a lot of meetings between now and Christmas, but I'd like to try and have things set up so that even if it's a couple weeks from now, that I come back with a real plan as to what we're doing. I'll reach out to the head of the schools, our Alderman Page, well, Alderman Boyd left us, but Alderman Page, do you think that would be something that you might be more better at reaching out to, or you want me to just reach out to that person?
Well, I'm willing to do whatever will help get the program moving in the right direction. I sincerely appreciate the comments from the Alderwoman from the 19th. She has experience on the school board, so that's sage advice that we just got. And if we're going to try to make this a citywide or a school system wide type of thing, and when it first came up, I didn't realize that's where we were going.
I didn't
But if
either.
we're going to try to do that for maximum impact citywide, I 100% agree that we need to go in the front door at the school board first. I totally agree.
Okay, well, I would welcome the help. I think I'm also going to reach out to the boys club, just to see where they're at. Maybe, they may have,
And by the way, someone put in the chat about the clearances required in order to work with kids in school settings.
All of that, the
I will
volunteer
say,
stuff,
Yes.
everything. Yeah,
I've had that clearance for many years.
yeah. But the other thing too is, guys, you got time because we don't have a board meeting to get this resolution approved anyway. So we have time to get all those little nuggets in order.
right, but I'd like to, so that when we do come back the first week of January, which isn't, it seems far away, but it's not. I would love to have, a real resolution and a real plan. And that's why I wanted to bring it to everybody, because this is why, this is why we do this way. So as a committee, we can figure stuff out, so, well, let's do this. Alderman Page, why don't you kind of reach out to the head of the schools? Let us know, kind of let me know what we need to do, and let's start putting things together. Does anyone else want to help on this? I know Alderwoman Evans, but I think what I'll do is I'll reach out to Gateway and the Boys Club, and then Alderman Page, if you'll reach out to the schools, and then let's just talk informally. Maybe I guess it's appropriate. We're not a quorum. Talk informally maybe next week if it works for you. Maybe we'll bring Kathy and let's just go to breakfast or lunch, and let's kind of see where we're heading.
Yeah, I'd be glad to help in any way.
This is crazy, Joe. Kathleen, HANRAHAN.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Pam, we can hear you. We can't see.
We can hear you, Pam.
She's here somewhere.
What happened?
You can't hear me. I'm on mute.
Yes, we
I'm muting
can.
myself.
We can. You're not
We
very
can
good
hear
on
you.
mute. You're not very good on mute. I can, well, I don't want to go into the mistakes that I've made while leaving my camera on. This whole Zoom thing. Anyway, well, let's do that. And then Alderman Page, if it works, let's get together and well, the next week if we can, and we'll get together with Kathy and let's see where we're going with this. And I will reach out
Yeah,
to.
you got a lot of partners that can really help make this a huge success. When you think about, you said the Boys Club, well, the Boys and Girls Club of St. Louis, they cover so many students, and they're like a nucleus because students that come from every education system are in the Boys and Girls Clubs.
And I think we'll reach out to them. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to have this, because you envision stuff and then you look for people that know all the stumbling blocks and how to.
And Joe, that might be a better way to go because you're not interrupting, excuse me, I've got a cold, interrupting the educational process because, teachers and students are under the gun to meet the standards that are required for
Testing.
accreditation. Thank you. So, it might be better to do an after-school program and partner with them because that way it's a supplement rather than, pushing into a school that you may be taking kids away from instructional time.
Well, the Alderman Page, or does anyone here have connections with the Boys and Girls Club?
I do not.
I do.
You do?
I can give you a name.
Well, Flint and I are very close, and when he came to the job at Herbert Hoover, I've been working with him ever since then. But the other part to that too is the recreation departments, because there's a lot of kids go through those things.
Yes, there are.
And Kathleen would know because she used to be part. So
35 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
she had my daughter in preschool.
Preschool. That's right. Yeah. The Tiny Tots.
Well, let me see if I got this.
Alderman Davis, is that Flint Fowler you mentioned?
Yes.
I know him. He worked in recreation for a while.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Please give him my best when you talk to him.
I will.
So Alderwoman Davis, and do you want to talk to him and let me know if this is something they're willing to want to do?
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay.
Another resource might be the boy, Gene Slays too.
And I can reach out to Gene Slays through as you get old, you have these little mental things.
Yeah, I know.
But the head of the Labor Tribune
Talking about
is friends with Gene Slay, so I can reach out that way. Well, let's do that. Well, Kathy, so let's see. I'm waiting to hear back from Alderwoman Davis. I'll make some calls. Alderman Page, just jump in. It's just open.
Yes, a quick question for Ms. Hanrahan. Have you already put together bullet points, a little description of the program that might help us in promoting it to various entities? Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
We need that.
Yes, can you email that to maybe to the chairman, and then the chair can get that to us? That's going to be critical in helping us promote this program.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kathy, if you email me that, I'm just gonna forward your email asking the clerk to give it to all the members.
Okay.
Might even send it to the full board, but especially the members of the.
Okay, sure. Certainly would. Yep. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Nice to see you
Good
all.
to see you.
Yeah. Good to
Well,
see
God
you.
bless you. Thank you. And then we're going to move on then with the meeting, but we should hopefully get back together with you pretty shortly.
Okay, well, take care, and I look forward to working with you guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the good idea. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks.
Great idea.
Take care.
Thanks. So we are going to move on. So Alderwoman Tyus, is resolution 39, is that your resolution?
It is my resolution.
Very
I don't
good.
see anybody here. I asked for the city councilors. I don't see them. I understand that the public safety director is not going to be here. And it's very hard to have an investigation with the people who don't want to answer your questions,
Well,
not being here.
we can,
And then we have a president who's violating the very rules that says the president shall, not can, think about it, sign subpoenas, okay? So they think it's a free day not to come and answer questions. Can't be the president of Board of Aldermen if you do not support that the aldermen have a right to ask people questions and get information. So I see nobody here.
what we can do, if you send me the email, I will send it. And I will include the president and the clerk saying if they don't come voluntarily, then you can help me prepare a subpoena since I have no clue how to do that. And we'll subpoena them.
The
And
mayor, I'm sorry, the president of Board of Aldermen refused to sign one to the treasurer saying that everything is not adversarial. Although the treasurer lied to my face and to the committee's face, the streets committees, about bringing information, and now will not show up because he feels like that he has a free pass. That does not sound like the people who used to always push transparency. Oh, that would be the progressives. So they should all be in an uproar too, because the president wouldn't sign it. So we're having to do a writ of mandamus against Adam Lane, and maybe we're going to have to do that with other people because the president now does not believe in transparency. So I'm looking for there to be a editorial in the Post against her, saying what a contradictory position she's taking and a hypocrite, because you should always want people to come to the Board of Aldermen and answer questions. Anybody doesn't want that, they shouldn't be on the Board of Aldermen. I'm for it. Bring them here, make them answer the question. So we can do it. We can put the subpoena together, but she's refused to sign the one that went to Adam Lane.
well, you know what? I mean, it does say shall.
It
And,
does, it's mandatory.
and so it's not a either or. And I thought it was kind of interesting that the same group that when it was with the former president, that they wanted all these rules put in place. They wanted to take all the power away and do all that. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we don't want it. They forget that people change, the turnover and all that. So,
But we'll do a subpoena and then we'll see if she'll sign this one. We'll keep doing them and we're going to see how many she's going to be able to refuse.
well, send me what you need to.
Okay.
So we'll hold this. Because that was the only two things that we had on the hearings.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Just a question. Was there a scheduling conflict? Do we have any sort of correspondence back from folks that were requested to be here today? I know we moved a meeting from last week, so I'm just in the spirit of conversation here, trying to figure out if folks had other things that were going on today that they weren't able to make it for, or if they just did not respond to correspondence.
The only one responded, and I understand that Dr. Isom, with the announcement of new chief and all that, we saw him on TV. Can't say he wasn't busy, he was busy. And I got that, but he also sent a letter and also sent said also he sent it, he also said, go ahead and leave him a link, which they did, just in case he got untied up.
Sure.
Okay. So other than that, and he's always been good about showing up. I've never had to really do anything. Dr. Isom usually will show up, even when he knows he's going to get beat up. He shows up. But no,
Sure.
The people she requested were sent, and only one person said they couldn't make it.
Okay.
And here's what you need to know. The city councilor has been doing the nuisance properties wrong. And I've been for years saying they were not doing what they're supposed to. Ken Ortman had Sue Phelps put out of his ward when he was the alderman. When I was the 20th ward, complained profusely about Sue Phelps. And then everybody's, Sharon, Alderwoman, you just, and so then I ordered data, which I tell you all the time. Data showed that in 5 years, Sue Phelps city councilor had only closed one problem property in all of North St. Louis in 5 years. We paid her almost $500,000, and she didn't do all these places that have a gunfire. These gas stations that have no business there, because we also have a problem in a Board of Adjustment letting them go there, and then the building commission not closing them back down, and public safety. I mean, the director of public safety, which the law says that if the director of public safety has reasonable suspicion that this thing is a nuisance, a property is a nuisance, he can close it down. Sue Phelps kept telling people, and Alderwoman Boyd can tell you, that you had to have called 911. That is not what our nuisance law says. She was making it a higher standard, and then arguing with me. And I actually went out to where somebody was dealing drugs and watched it myself. And she said that my eyewitness testimony as an officer of the court was not enough. And she did this all in writing, back and forth. And I kept telling her, you need to stop, because this is not going to go away. Dan, Director Isom was on it. This is when Hayden was still the police chief. I was on it. It's a number of people, and they all start talking about how can we stop this. She was the only one saying we can't do anything. Well, when you only close one property in 5 years, not in one North St. Louis wards, but all of the North St. Louis ward. So when I brought that up and started sending that to everybody, then everybody go, oh my God. So then now all of a sudden they're closing something in the 22nd ward. They're closing something in the 3rd ward. So, we're doing these things, but how did it go on for all these years that you couldn't close anything? And still you have not closed Salamas, where there had been multiple gunfires, which we did not want. You have not, and I think that was a Salamas that's over there on Shoto, where they had the people get killed.
Yes.
Okay. You have not closed Euclid Market, and you have not closed. We have a market where, Director Isom grew up on Bessie, 1 block away. We have a market at Shreve and Anderson at the beginning of the 800 block. And they have every month a shooting just on that block on Shreve. Shreve runs from West Florissant to Ashland. The only place there's a shooting, and the owner's son has got killed in there. And our laws actually say that when you're in F neighborhood commercial, you're supposed to be something that's an asset to the surrounding community. And so I've been asking forever, how are these things still open? Along with that, the people who got caught up on our board of aldermen, those people who were testifying against them actually got indicted in 2017. And they didn't do anything until I called every year, because I watched it, and I would call Matt Boak and nothing happened. And then in April of 2022 and May, right when the other indictments came out, then all of a sudden they pled all of them except for one, who now they have under some kind of protective custody. That's the one that did the taping. And so my question, and I will still say this, is why haven't we seen any of their faces? Salamas offered me a bribe. I emailed it to Hal Goldsmith because I wanted it to be on record, because they offered me a $30,000 bribe, and they're there. I say Michael Garvin's name out loud because he knows he's part of the problem. And Sue Phelps is part of the problem, and they're letting all this stuff happen in North St. Louis. And now I'm hearing what the Alderman from the 14th says, so goes North St. Louis, here it comes to South St. Louis, okay? But they have been letting this stuff go, and they just try to, Sharon is just saying that. But the data didn't say Sharon was just saying that. And Sue Phelps talks really nasty to people, nasty to the aldermen, nasty to the people who are trying to get things done and closed down. And so they don't want to come because I got all of this in writing, and she has to answer to me where it says in the nuisance ordinance that it takes a 911 call to get you to close someplace. And when nuisance ordinance first came out, they used to go out, because I was here, they would have a meeting with the people at the police. They would write it up. They would send it not only to the alder person, they would also send it to the building division. So I have all the old things. She stopped doing all of that stuff. I called the building division. They said, oh no, she stopped doing that. This is how we let incompetent people who should have been fired years ago stay on board, not doing their job. Now, I believe that she was directed from one of the former mayor's offices to do that, but I can't prove that. But I do know she didn't do her job. And so we have had all these nuisances in North St. Louis that are open, and these are shootings. These are places where they are shooting over and over. They should have been closed with the second shooting.
These
The first
people
one should have been a 6 months.
us also. And these same people are not held accountable. They're selling
I know.
cigarettes, no taxes. They're selling the vape stuff that has
Yep.
some kind of drug in it. It's insidious. And, you know, I'm not defending anyone, but at the same time, they should be held accountable too.
Correct. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Why are
And so I want them to come and tell me, how is it we haven't been able to close these places down? And why did these people get to stay open? If you got indicted in 2017, you don't have anybody gets adjudicated, or nobody even does a plea until 2022. Does that sound, as a lawyer, does that sound right to you, Alderwoman Rice? Because that's what I'm telling you happened, okay?
It doesn't. There's something wonky.
So there's something on within our own. So nobody wants to come, because after I got that data, then nobody could say, oh, Sharon's just saying that. But you could get prior aldermen that didn't want to deal with her. And the only thing they used Sue Phelps was they brought her downtown to close down Reigns, because they didn't want people to say it was race. But the only thing they closed in North St. Louis in 5 years was a little house it was in the 21st Ward on Lexington, this grandma and her children. Nothing about gunfire. They never have been able to find any place where the gunfire has been going on that they can close. Okay, but it's spreading. And I know that was a Salamis on Shoto, and they have no business being open, no place in the city. They got one on 14th Street on Shoto, and they put the one on St. Louis Avenue, even though I have a law that says there cannot be a gas station there. So that's what I want to find out what's going on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Alderman Rice, since we're doing more open discussion, you don't even have to put your hand up, just jump in.
Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't talking over anybody. I was wondering, is this why we've been getting request or notices to kind of walk through the nuisance process from Sandra? Okay, I was wondering where that came from. I would love if they would just do that in a meeting, and they could tell us what the process is, and then we could counter if that's not supposed to be the process, or I think it would be really revealing for the public also to have that conversation happen in public and not just on a webinar with a few aldermen, but that should be something that happens, out in public, I think. So I think it would be great to have them come in and have this discussion in public. So.
But I think what happened, she was one of the city councilors that resigned from there because of what Alderwoman Tyus is saying. She kept telling me she couldn't understand when she was a city councilor and she was focusing on the police stations downtown. Even during the pandemic, she was having nuisance hearings. She said she did it virtual, but she said, Alderwoman, I had a 95% turnout rate. She said she couldn't understand why in the north part of the city, they didn't have it. And I even had gas stations call and say, I'm supposed to be at a nuisance hearing. But when I go up there to North Patrol, they say they not having it, but I never got the information. So I said, so why are you all not meeting with these people? First, it was technical difficulties. Then it was the pandemic. I said, come on, that's not okay. I said, if they can do virtual hearings on courts, why can't we do virtual nuisance meetings? I said, that's not fine. And I was attending nuisance meetings for a while because I was like Alderwoman Tyus. I wanted to see for myself. And when they talked and said, you got to have 911 calls, I said, but that's not in the ordinance. Where is that coming from? So I had an NIS to start pulling CSB calls because they wasn't even looking at those calls. Yeah. And we had a house that had like 40 CSB calls. And I was like, you all are not even following the law. So I agree, it's a problem. And I'm just frustrated. Like now I have a tire shop. And so now they're trying to beat around the bush to open. I said, you better not open it. If you do, I'm going public on y'all. Because this is craziness. And you had a murder up there and you think this is okay. This is not okay with us. So I agree. We got to do, and people say we need to change. We don't need to change the nuisance law. We just need to enforce what's already there. So
it worked
that's my
fine for a long time. It worked fine for a long time, but somehow falling off the rails.
And then when they stopped at Project 87 and they stopped all that stuff, that stopped that nuisance process. That's what hurt us. And so I told them, I even told the judges, I said, we send a message, you can do what you want to do in our city. You're not going to be held accountable. It ain't going to happen to you. I said accountability and communication is the most terrifying words in our city because nobody is being held accountable for their actions.
Well, and you
sorry, that just upsets me.
It takes a week and you got squatters in there and they're tearing it up.
Yep.
And
That's why I'm
nothing,
having to tear down my building. Squatters go in there and they start a fire.
put them out. We can't put them out, or we can't put them out. It's terrible. It's like a cancer.
Yeah.
They do is that the tire shop used to be in the first ward. So when they got so many complaints in the first ward with redistricting, they'll put them in a different ward and then they get rid of the whole record of what has happened. That's just what they did with Salamis was down, was in the 20th, then they put it in the 4th, Euclid Mark, they'll put it in a different ward. And then when they look up under the new ward, they don't have any complaints. But it's because they have covered it all up. And that came from the administration. Just like when we read that the alderman from the 21st, the former alderperson, closed down and then opened back up a gas station. No alderman can do that. That it was somebody in the building division that was doing that. And nobody, and I tell them that every time, if that is what happened, if that is indeed true what happened, then somebody in the building division was also complacent, as is the LA over at LRA. I mean, LC, we know who LC is, but we've never seen her held accountable. So there's a lot of people who were also part of these things and these nuisance and these crimes. And then we don't see who they are. We just got 3 men that went across as in that's the only part of the crime. And there's a crime when somebody collects $500,000 almost in 5 years and does one thing. That doesn't even make any sense. So I will help you do the, our attorney and I will work with you to do a subpoena, and we should subpoena everybody, including the city councilor, if she tells them not to come, because I've been informed that now you have to ask for permission from the city councilor, the assistant city councilors, for a city councilor to come before you. So I don't know if that's true or not, but we need to have Sue Phelps before us explaining what happened.
You're on mute, Joe.
That doesn't help, does it? Alderman Rice, if I'm understanding, you want me to have Sandra Sombrano come in and kind of go through how the program works in a public forum. Is there anybody else you want in here with her?
If she's the right person to do that. So I understand that that was her previous role in the city councilor's office with, she was working in these nuisance properties. So I don't know if that is within her current job purview. So I don't want to get her in trouble if that's not something, if that's not her department that she should currently be speaking to. But someone needs to come in and explain to us how it is that the city is running these nuisance property processes. And it should be the same thing throughout the city. There shouldn't be different processes for different parts of the city.
But she's not ultimately responsible for that. That's what I want to say.
Right. That's what I was, yeah.
The public safety director makes that determination if they want to close it down. And that's why I want to Dan Isom, because I want to know how many shootings, how many murders do you have to have before you say, and then I think it's also incumbent upon us to put some stricter language. I will want to put some stricter language. First shooting, you're on notice. Second shooting, you shut down for 6 months, okay? Third shooting, you'd never get to open up again. You cannot bring shootings into the middle of neighborhoods and then say, well, you all need those stores. That's what I was told. Well, you guys need those stores. No, I don't. I don't need for anybody in my community to have to drive through gunfire to do anything. And that's dangerous. And the people who have these stores and gas stations, none of them live in the community. They all live out in West County or North County someplace, and they would not have their families have to go through this.
Well, so, I mean, but I think we got two different things. I think Alderwoman Rice, you were talking about wanting to have possibly, I know that Sandra was going to have a meeting or whatever, trying to explain how the NSI program works. Did you want her brought in here for a public, or am I
Well,
off on that?
So the request, I think she tried to have a meeting with some aldermen to just, what my understanding what the meeting was supposed to be, and I was not able to get on the meeting, was sort of a front to back start of the nuisance process. So I know that she is over the neighborhood stabilization team right now. So if it is not currently her job responsibility on the nuisance process, then I don't want to call her in inappropriately for that. But if I think we had a request about another time to try to schedule a meeting to walk through that process. So I'm a little bit unclear about what it is that her role currently is, and especially as it plays into this nuisance process. So, and I don't know, I'm a little, you all know I had feelings about the subpoena process as we brought the resolution through the Board of Aldermen. And to me, it seems like if there's going to be a subpoena, then the committee has to issue the subpoena. And so I think that would be something that we would need to take action on as a committee, and not just send out as the chair. But that is my reading of the resolution number 42 that we passed this year on subpoena power.
Well, I'm sure that this committee would have no problem as a whole.
Sure. I just want to make sure that we're following the resolution, that we, if we need to issue a subpoena because they aren't coming, we've requested them to attend and they can't come, and not because of, they were on a scheduled vacation or they, had a significant conflict, then I just want to be sure that we're, subpoenas are kind of a big deal. And so if folks are refusing to come, then I think that is an appropriate use of a subpoena. But if they had a scheduling conflict, I'm not trying to punish anybody for it, I guess is what I'm saying.
You don't get to have a scheduling conflict with subpoenas. That is a command to appear. I've been using them since 1989.
That's not what I meant,
Right,
Alderwoman.
okay, what you
I
can
meant
do is
to
then
come
call
today.
somebody and say, look, I have this, and which of course we would all be reasonable, but you are supposed to say, if you get a subpoena, you better call that judge, because the next thing you get is a body attachment, okay? So nobody's wanting anybody to miss anything important, but they purposely did not answer because they don't have an answer, because they've been proven what they've been doing is wrong and not true. And so they're just doing avoidance now. And that is the problem. I don't see that the committee has to, the chair has been, for all the time I've been here, the chair issues subpoenas. If the chair says there's a subpoena, just like they call meetings, that has not been the ruling of what has happened in the past. So I don't see that as being the need. That's why you get to be a chair. And in fact, let me just explain something to you. Really, the charter doesn't say that. The charter is, we put something in our appendix about subpoenas that is not in the charter, okay? So if you look at the appendix and then you look at the charter, there's two different things about issuing a subpoena.
Well, so Alderwoman Tyus, in fact, anybody, get me the list of who all you want up here. I'm gonna forward that to the clerk. I will say, look, I want to know what date. I will give them the option even. I'll say, look, what date works for you guys? We're going to hold this meeting within reason. Do you guys want to have another meeting within the next couple of weeks? Kind of yes, no?
I would say at this point, we owe it to the staff to give them an actual holiday break here and come back that first week in January. That we are scheduled to meet. I think we're supposed to meet the 10th of January, or is that the first? So we could do it that week, but I would not want to schedule anything before that. We owe our staff a break.
Well, no, they time. We'll send it and say, look, pick something in the first whatever days, and what day works for you guys, and the people that we're asking to show up. So they can't say it's a scheduling conflict. We'll kind of let them, and let's get them in. If Alderwoman Tyus, give me the list of who all you want in here.
And I had given it to you before. Remember,
I
I sent
we're
it to you.
gonna do it right. We sent it, because we forwarded it. But let's do it again, and we'll be a little bit more. Instead of saying this date, we'll say give us a date, the first part of January that works to have you come in for discussion.
I
Then
think, do
if
we come
they-
back on the 13th? 6th is a Friday and the 13th is a Friday. Is it the 13th?
The 13th, yeah.
Okay, and then I set a streets meeting for the 11th because that's right before we come back in. So maybe if we could have it sometime, the 10th or the 11th or something like that. Okay,
That'd be fine. We can give them that choice of those few days in there.
right.
So if you send that, we'll do it that way. Does anyone else want to weigh in on anything else? Oh, this is gonna go pretty easy. Well, welcome, and I think Alderman Todd, you're new to this committee too, aren't you? I believe he is. He might be.
Yes.
Yes. Alderman Todd, welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting.
What is it now? Yes,
I
I'm a
say-
member.
I say you're a new member now to this committee,
That's correct.
and I'm saying welcome. We got yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I've been trying to get on ever since I've been alderman.
There you go. Well, you're here now.
Well,
Wait
thank
a
you
minute.
for welcoming. It feels so good to be welcome to our committee.
It's a good committee. We got good people, and we're not real, well, at least I've never been, we're not real stringent where we go down the line unless a big fight starts and then we have to, but it's better we just have open discussions and we try to move things through. So welcome.
Thank you
And-
so much. Appreciate it.
And Laura Keys, also a new member here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be among you.
You were on the run, so anyway, well, we're going to move for an adjournment. If anybody wants to make a motion that we adjourn.
I so
Before
moved.
we adjourn, if I could, go ahead.
I think we have a first with Alderwoman Tyus. Did you have something you wanted to add, Alderman Keys, before we take that?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that if you are inclined to go to your office and check your mailbox, there is a holiday package there for you.
I usually go in and pick up my stuff, and I saw the flower things have come.
Now, those aren't for me.
No,
I
no,
can't-
no, no,
I'm
no. I
not
know
taking
that's not
credit
from
for
you,
the
but I'm just
poinsettias.
saying,
That's not me.
I'm saying.
We
if-
get that every year.
If you look
Okay.
at Alderwoman Hubbard's video there, that she's on that flower,
Uh-huh.
those are the flowers they bring every year to make our office look nice, and then we heist them all. It's like,
Okay.
we don't
All right.
heist them, but they used to put them on our desk. I don't know where they put them now, but
Mhm.
anyway. So we have a motion to adjourn from the first. We have a second.
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 All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
God bless y'all. Everybody have a nice Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year.
All
Happy
those,
holidays.
thank you too. Thank you all.
All right, everybody be safe. Thank you. Lord, I'm exhausted.